Hey everyone, it's Adrian, your personal Getting Things Done certified coach and associate here with Next Action Associates, talking today about how can you leverage GTD to overcome what I like to call priority drunkenness. What am I talking about? Well, and I don't know where you are exactly in your journey, but I want to assume here you're at the beginning of your journey. And I want to assume also that the limiting criteria from the Getting Things Done methodology is a concept, and not just a concept, but something you're actually using. Of course you are using it, but I just want to refresh your memory. So here we're on step 5 of the Getting Things Done methodology, right? So of course you've captured everything outside of your mind. Of course you've clarified step 2, what it means, what you'll do and what you'll not do. Of course you have organized the responses you have in a meaningful way. Of course you have reviewed everything that's in your system, and now it's time to do. And when it comes to do, then the limiting criteria set in. They basically tell you what are the meaningful way, or what are the meaningful questions to ask yourself to really not just do something and be busy, but actually choose the best thing you could do in that moment, right? What we call being meaningfully engaged. And the process is, for most people, weird at first, to say the least, because most people think, well, obviously you have to ask yourself, what's my priority, right? Priorities are important, of course, but they actually don't come first. The first thing you need to do is ask yourself, well, where are you right now? I mean, are you home, or are you traveling, or do you have your computer or not? Do you have your phone? Can you do stuff with your phone? Or are you with your partner? Or are you with your boss? Where you are starts to limit what can you do. If I have WD-40 my door and I'm not at home, I don't care about the reminder that I need to WD-40 my door, because I can't do it. I don't care how important a calls list is. If my phone died and I just have no way, then that list is not really useful, is it? So the first thing is really context. Where are you and what can you do where you are? The next direct question is, well, what's your time frame? How much time do you have? If you have 10 minutes, you'll do vastly different things than if you have 20, than if you have 30, than if you have an hour or even 2 hours of focus time. Make sense? I think it does. The third one is, well, what are your resources? And I'm talking here about your energy level. What mindset are you currently? You know, we have limited resources as human beings. We have what we call ego depletion, right? So we cannot make an unlimited number of decisions in one day. So and that you know just by experience, that when you start the day, it's 9 o'clock, you are in a different mindset and energy field than when it's 5 o'clock and you've had a long day. You might be a night person or a morning person, and depending on what you are, you will want to do stuff that requires brain power at the best moment in time and not at the worst. So coming out, for me personally, coming out of a training where I've trained for 2 days, then going into hard negotiations, never going to happen. That's the worst possible moment in the day for me to go and start negotiating a deal. So context, time, and resources that you have. With these 3 questions, you'll have, let's assume you have 100 actions you could do, theoretically. With these criteria, you've honed it in and you're reduced, like a funnel, to a certain number of things you can actually do. Like, for example, 10 actions, or maybe 15 actions. And here comes now the question, well, from the things I can actually do in the moment in time with the resources I have in the context I am, what's my priority? Now, and if you go through these questions, you'll spot immediately what is most important to you. That's how you actually identify what your priorities are rather than setting them. And this tool, or this concept, really let's call it more model. This model really helped me personally in my journey, simply because I never asked myself consciously these questions. So they're not just there for you to review in a sense of making sense on how we make decisions. They're really there for you to use. So apply those. But oftentimes, and I don't know if that's similar for you in terms of experience, but oftentimes that wouldn't be enough for me. I would have lists, but I still have something nagging inside of me. I've gone through the questions, I have 10 actions before me, I start doing something, but I'm still not sure, and I'm still feeling uneasy, and yeah, but I've got so many mails, and my inbox, and I'm not sure. And this is where we come into another very helpful model, which it took me years to operationalize. What I mean by that is, it's easy to understand a concept. It's something vastly different if you implement the concept. Bear with me. So the three work, another concept in this book, all right? We're still in step 5, engage. How do you make choices? How do you prioritize? And I said again, how to leverage priority drunkenness. So what I mean by that is, well, you know you have priorities, but in the end you don't act upon your priorities, which makes you feel frustrated, and let's face it, is a pain, right? So how does the threefold nature of work can help you? What is it in the first place? The threefold nature of work tells you nothing other than everything you do in life, everything from the moment you get up until you get to bed, you can basically categorize in one of those 3 categories. The first one is the work that David Allen calls predefined work. So predefined work, like the word says, is predefined, is you've said you're going to do something and you actually do it. So you're sitting right there calling someone that you said you're going to call. That's doing predefined work. You're in a meeting with someone that you said you're going to have. That's doing predefined work. You are focusing your time on a task that you said you're going to do. That's doing predefined work. Easy. The second one is unplanned work. Unplanned work is admittedly the biggest part of your life, or for most people, is the things that you could plan, but that you usually don't do. Going to the bathroom, drinking water, taking a nap, going out, walking the dogs. Like lots of activities we do that take up time are just unplanned. They don't have a spot in the calendar, if you will. And then, and of course, in the unplanned work, there's also the emergent matters, the thing that just show up suddenly. You know, like I'm sorry, I have to cancel my meeting because I have an important, urgent thing that just showed up. That would be unplanned work. It's still work, right? It's important work, and you still need to do it. It's just unplanned. The third one is, well, if you have predefined work, it means at some point you sit down to actually define what you're going to do. So that's defining work. Okay, that's the third part of work. That's when you sit down, you look at your emails, and you define for each what they are. It's when you look at your project and you design a plan and you say, this is how I'm going to go about this. These are the ideas. I'm grouping them together. This is my organization. Now I'm going to take that action, that action, and that action. That's defining. You're thinking through your work and making choices. Yes, no, maybe. Now, the model shows you, or is helpful to get a sense of, where are you spending time? Where are you spending most of your time? And maybe also asking yourself, where should you be spending most of your time? A receptionist, for example, right, is taking phone calls. So by default, her or his job is responding to unplanned work, right? That's that the phone call isn't planned. A sales rep, I've done cold calls for a while. Hate doing it, but still, I've done that. And many times it was planned work. So I had my calls list and I had an amount of calls I needed or I said I wanted to do. I never did all of them. But that was predefined work. And at some point I sat down and defined that work. Now the activity is the same. I pick up the phone, phone someone. But for a sales rep versus a receptionist, the nature of the work will be very different. For one it's planned, for the other one it's not. Now how can you use that model? Well, a first thing I did is understand, like most people, that the best way to deal with unplanned work in a meaningful way is to have predefined work ready for, like, in the system, so that whenever it shows up, you can actually compare the new information that bubbled up with what you have already predefined. Because, and in all honesty, just look at all the cases where you have done something else than what you've defined in the first place. When are you pissed off about that? When are you frustrated? When does it nag you that you're, again, I haven't done what I said I was going to do? When does it feel negative? In most cases, probably because the thing you've done, or in your own terminology, less important than what do you think you should have done, right? I mean, if I get a phone call and says, hey, Adrian, I'm booking you for 2 days, and that was unplanned, and that's good work I want to do, then hey, yay, unplanned work. I'm happy about this, right? But if a client calls me and says, hey, I'm canceling the 2 days delivery that I promised you were going to do, well, that changes, and then it might be a little bit frustrating, right? So my experience of something that is unplanned does not so much depend on the thing in itself. It depends on the relation between the new thing and the old thing, basically. So far, so good. That didn't suffice for me personally, right? As a result of that, I increased the amount of time I would define my work, and it helped me. But where I really got to the next level is actually kind of recently how I understood that model. The way I understood that model is I need to activate those things in my calendar. What I mean by that is, how do I see in my calendar rather quickly how much time am I doing predefined work, and if this is fitting or not? How do I know whether I have enough unplanned work or space in my calendar to welcome the unplanned work? How do I know how much defining work I should put in my calendar? And this is what I think can help you. I'm going to give you a step here, a process, if you will. That's my own personal process, how I have used it. Just try it out, see how it works for you. If it doesn't work, just shout it out, then at least I'll know and I'll be smarter. If it does, great. So the first thing I want to do is the first phase I call setup and fail. What do I mean by that? Step one in this phase will be for you to gather, roughly speaking, how much time do you actually need for defining your work? You take 30 seconds per stuff. So I have here in my inbox, I have here a piece of paper that I will need to clarify. It's probably an invoice that I need to pay. I will look at it, define what it is, say I need to do something, define my next actions, do it right away if I can. If it takes less than 2 minutes, if it takes longer, then I'll put it in my system. That's defining my work. And on average, I'll take 30 seconds per stuff. Per stuff means per WhatsApp message, per email, per Teams message, per LinkedIn message, per Facebook message, per note I took. On average, some are directly delete, trash. Others, 3 attachments, PDF, Excels, whatever, will probably need 3 minutes, if not 5 minutes, right? So on average, 30 seconds. And then just roughly speaking, evaluate how much stuff do you get per day. If you get 100 emails, that will give you a clue. You will probably need 50 minutes a day clarifying your work. It's not bad news, it's not good news, it's news. It just is. Now if you have email inbox, plus Teams, plus WhatsApp, plus, you need to add up the amount of stuff roughly. It's an average, it's a gut feeling to just get a sense of it. And now you'll have the total amount of stuff that you have, and you'll divide it by 2 to give you a sense of how much time you need per day, clarification time. That's how you operationalize the idea of you need more defining time. That's how you will see for yourself. It might be 20 minutes, it might be an hour, 30 per day, I don't know. But that's how you have just identified the time you need for the defining time, okay? I want you to do the same with the predefined. This is a bit tougher, but you need to look at your lists of work. Don't look at emails. Emails doesn't tell you your work. Look at stuff that you have already defined and analyze, roughly speaking, with your gut feeling, with your ability to analyze or take a calculator. I don't know how you're going to do this, but you need to get a sense of how much time do you actually need to get that which is on your list done, finished. And here again, you need to add up that time and set it to the side. And third, I want you to have a feeling and get a feeling of how much on a daily basis, roughly speaking here again, how much time are you spending with stuff that is unplanned, right? That's why I call this first phase set up and fail. You'll be wrong, you'll be off, and that's okay because you're learning. But you'll get a sense of, as per your job, ideally, as per your job description, as per what actually comes into my mailbox instead of what Adrian does, I have a rough feeling that I need per day 70 minutes clarifying time. I need at least 2 hours somehow stretched during the day to do stuff that is unplanned. Stuff for whatever comes, roughly. And I need 45 minutes a day really focusing so that that which lands in my list I can actually get done. This is such a powerful tool because now what you have is an estimate. And what I want you to do is really clearly identify. So my identification is for the defining my work. I call it a slot that calls clarify, clearly identified. For doing predefined work, I call it do predefined work or focus time, right? And for the spontaneous part, for the unplanned, I have a slot in my multiple ones that actually says, for example, time for whatever. It's just a start and it's just a map with which you will then work. But if you do that on a weekly basis during the weekly review, really see your week as it comes and really think it through. Now, whenever you have to move things around, whenever you have to make decisions, you're making based on data. You're making based on an actual choice. And this is where step 2 comes then in. You need to review and improve it. Because you'll be priority drunk or time drunk, or you in a sense of that's what I wanted to happen and this is what happened. And there are 2 different realities. But bits by bits, if you do that on a repeated basis, on a weekly basis, that you actually use this tool operationally, like put stuff in your calendar according to those 3 sorts or 3 categories. And then you review and you improve it. Bits by bits, you'll start to see that your perception of you and your perception of time and your perception of the time that you need will, bits by bits, actually match what you do in your calendar. And that is such an important piece when it comes to prioritization. Because how do you know when something happens suddenly, unexpectedly? How can you be in the position where you say, I know I'm doing the right call? Well, if you thought it first, really through, if you thought it through first, that's what David Allen says. If you think through once a week really clearly, then the rest of your time you can be spontaneous. That's what I hope you'll get out of this video. I know it's a bit long, but there is some tacticals here I want you to actually implement. So I wish you a wonderful day. Hope that helps. Please shout out as always if it does. And of course, if it doesn't, please do as well so I can learn something as well and improve. Wish you a lovely evening. Bye-bye.